Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. It is Tuesday, Tag Tuesday, and so I wanted to do the tag that's been going around all over BookTube. That is the Midyear Freakout Tag, and this is for the year 2021. This is my second year on BookTube, and I did do this tag last year, so this will be my round 2 of this. This is basically a recap of the first half of the year in your reading. That's basically what all these questions, there's 13 questions on here. I will leave, I've seen this on a whole bunch of channels. I'll leave a link to the original channel on this, and apparently I forgot to write it down, so I apologize. I'll put it in the description below though and leave a link to it. This tag's been around for a long time, and so anyway, wanted to do my version of this. So here we go. Question number 1. The best book you've read so far this year. So I went back on my list. I got a Google Doc where I keep track of all of the books I've read. And I have read 27 books to this point in the year. And I think the best book that I have read so far, this was a buddy read that I did with Peg over at the History Shelf, and the best book I have read probably is Eric Foner's A Short History of Reconstruction. This was a wonderful recap of just Reconstruction, that time period after the Civil War when the American government was getting resituated, the nation itself was getting put back together, and the nation was trying to figure out what we were going to do with the African American population. And of course we had the 13th, 14th, and 15th amendments put in. We had some civil rights acts put in. Just Eric Foner does a fabulous job of summarizing all of that in this fairly small volume. He's also got Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution, which is the full version of this, and it is a monster of a book. I have not read it yet. I would like to. I saw it at the bookstore, almost pulled the trigger on it and almost bought it, but did not do it. But anyway, this is comprehensive but not comprehensive, just because it is an abridged version, and so there's a lot of detail that you could go into on some of these items. So I enjoyed this, thought it was good. I learned a lot from it, and to me this is probably the best book I have read this year so far. All right, so question number 2. The best sequel you've read so far this year. Now I'm going to kind of cheat because I'm not quite done with it. I was reading it throughout the school year, and I didn't get real far because I only had a few minutes each day to read. So I'm only like 80 pages in, but I plan on finishing this summer before school starts again. And that is Bruce Canton's second volume in the American Civil War trilogy. This is The Terrible Swift Sword. This is probably so far the best sequel that I have read. I have not read very many sequels, so yeah, this is the best I could do for this this question in the tag. Awesome recount of battle by battle description of the war. I thoroughly enjoy Bruce Canton. I think Bruce Canton's one of the best authors of Civil War nonfiction that there is, or that there has ever been. And so I thoroughly am enjoying that, and I plan to, like I said, finish that in this summer before school starts. Number 3, a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. I don't have the book with me. I got to go get it from the library, but that is Thaddeus Stevens' biography by Bruce Levinson. Peg and I over at the History Shelf, we're going to do a buddy read on this in July, and I'm real excited about that. That is probably the new release. That I know that's the new release I haven't read yet, but I want to, and so I'm real excited about doing that. Question number 4. The most anticipated release for the second half of the year. For me, if you follow the channel, you know I'm a huge John Grisham fan. And so this question, just like last year, it'll be the new John Grisham book coming out. It comes out October 19th of this year, and it is called The Judge's List. And this is just another legal thriller, and I'm super excited. I haven't read a bunch on it. I'm always looking forward to the new John Grisham book coming out. So that's my answer for that one. Number 5, the biggest disappointment so far this year. For me, it's Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I think that was, I just really disliked that book. I was really hoping I was going to enjoy it. It is on all of the all-time classics lists, especially in the English language. It's supposed to be one of the best books ever written, and I quite frankly think it's one of the worst books ever written. So, yeah, take it for what it is. Number 6, the biggest surprise. For me, I decided this year I was going to, since I've started BookTube, I wanted to expand my reading a little bit. Last year I dipped into science fiction. This year I dipped into mystery a little bit more. And I'd read mystery before, but not in any detail. And the author and series that I really like, that was my biggest surprise, I really loved it, was Philip R. Craig's mystery series. It's the Martha's Vineyard mystery series. And of course they've got a series on Hallmark of movies that go along with those books. And that's really what got me started. My family likes to watch the Hallmark movies. We sit down in an evening and hour and a half, 2 hours of just good family video. You don't have to so much worry about what's on there. And so I had noticed that this is from the Philip R. Craig series, and so I looked that up in the library and I found these, and I have since read, how many have I read? About 6 or 7 of these and I've liked all of them. They're just a fun series. I like the main character. I like all the side characters. You can read one book as a standalone novel, but yet it still goes with the whole series. You see some stuff carried through, some storylines that are carried through the entire series, but yet you don't have to read the entire series, and I like that. So Philip R. Craig's mystery series has been my biggest surprise. Number 7, my favorite new author. This could be debut or new to you. So for me, my favorite so far, other than the Philip R. Craig, would probably be Kristen Hanna. I picked up The Great Alone, and I absolutely loved this book. It had a good flow to it. I just really like her writing, and I look forward to finding some more books by her. And she's got a ton of them out there. So that is probably my favorite new author, Kristen Hanna. So number 8. Newest fictional crush. I think this question's a little bit silly. I'm not a middle school girl. I don't get crushes on book characters. But if I wanted to go, kind of taking this question and playing along with it, my newest fictional crush would probably be Lenny Albright, the main character in The Great Alone. The whole book is written from her perspective, and her character, the reason, and I say crush, like I said, you can't crush on a book character. Anyway, with that, putting that aside, I really like her because she just stood by the boy she liked. It was a love story throughout the entire book. She stood by him through thick and through thin, and she helped him through some tough times. He helped her through some tough times. I really like his character as well, by the way. But if I had a new fictional crush, that would be probably my character. And simply because of the loyalty that she showed. Newest favorite character, and this is, aside from Lenny Albright, my newest favorite character is, and this is kind of like I'm going back to this because I had read other books, but I remembered why I liked those books, was Theodore Boone in the Theodore Boone series by John Grisham. I really like his kid lawyer. Sometimes the stories are a little bit like, yeah, that probably wouldn't happen, but I really like it from this kid's point of view. He's a smart kid. He doesn't necessarily have some of the he has asthma, so he can't participate in sports. So he has to find other ways to get into the popular crowd, and that's a typical thing we see in middle school. And so this book just kind of hit home for me, being a middle school teacher. I could see how this would work out, and he's a really good kid. Sometimes he makes mistakes, just like any kid, but overall he's a pretty darn good kid. So he's my newest favorite character. Number 10, a book that made you cry. Now, I did not all out start bawling, but I did tear up in The Great Alone. There is a spot at the end of towards the end of the book where we get a look at what cancer can do to a person, and it's just sad. Two characters have to say goodbye to one another, and I did tear up on that. So anyway, a book that made you happy. Now, this was a book from the library, so I don't have it sitting in front of me, but a book that made me happy was Our Team. Now, this is a baseball book about the 1947 and 48 Cleveland Indians. It's centered around four main characters: Bill Veeck, Bob Feller, Satchel Paige, and Larry Doby. And this book made me happy because for a couple different reasons. I like the Civil War, and the reason I like to learn about the Civil War is the United States was trying to fix one of its worst, if not the worst, one of the worst issues in its history. I think to me, it's the worst issue in its history, and the issue of slavery. And then, right alongside that issue is the issue of segregation. And Our Team battles segregation. So it's two things in one. Number one, baseball. I love baseball. I love old baseball. So like 1948 Cleveland Indians, that's old baseball to me. I love that storyline. And then number two, the battling of the color line that was in baseball at that point, because Larry Doby is the first in the American League, first African American to play in the American League, and he's the second African American man to play overall in baseball. And so they were overcoming many odds. You got baseball in there, you've got ending segregation. I loved it. It was a book that made me happy because it hit some of my favorite things to read about. Number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I had on here the Alice in Wonderland book. I can't find it. Couldn't find it. I don't know what I did with it. I must have taken it upstairs. So I don't have that one to show you. It was absolutely beautiful book. Very, very cool. The next one that I thought had a beautiful cover. I thought it was well done. Really cool. Came in a mail haul from Todd at Todd's Bursting Bookcase. And I don't know what it is, but I really like this cover. I don't know if I call it beautiful, but it's one of my favorite covers, and it's one of the books I would really like to read before the end of this year. And that is The Trigger, Hunting the Assassin Who Brought the World to War by Tim Butcher. And I just think that is such a cool cover. It catches my eye. It's about World War I, one of my favorite topics to read about, one of my favorite topics to teach. And it's just got some iconic photos that, I show these in my classroom. The kids see these. They know what these photos are instantly after we've went through this unit. And they, you put it all onto one cover, and then you, of course, got the map in the background of, I think it's the map of Austria-Hungary and Bosnia and all that. I mean, you can't really tell, but it's got a map in the background. It's just really well put together. I think that they did a really good job with this book cover. So I think it's beautiful from my historical perspective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So there we go. And number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Okay, so these are the books that I had on my list that I really wanted to get finished before the end of this year. I want to get finished American Caesar, biography on Douglas MacArthur by William Manchester. I want to get Fall of Giants by Ken Follett. By the way, another really cool cover, and when you look at the inside, it's got really cool end papers to it. So this book could have went on that same number 12 question. But anyway, I digress. So I'd like to get that one finished. I would like to get that Thaddeus Stevens book that I had mentioned. And then also, I want to get this Volume 2, Wrestling with His Angel, 1849 to 1856 by Sidney Blumenthal. It's a political biography of Abraham Lincoln. I got Volume 1 done last year. I want to get Volume 2 done this year, and then Volume 3 next year, and Volume 4 whenever it comes out, because it's not out, right? Yeah, I don't think that one's out yet. That's the one we're waiting on. Anyway, those are the books I want to get done for the second half of the year. So, BookTube, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. This is the Midyear Freakout Tag 2021 edition. This is like I said, a tag that you can do every year. It's kind of a reoccurring tag, and this is this year's version of this. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope maybe I added to your TBR a little bit, and hope everyone's finding time to get some reading done, having a great day, enjoying the weather. So until next time, BookTube, thank you for watching, and happy reading.